Welcome back, watch people. Now, for some months I've had this question running around in my head that just won't go away, and I keep trying to put it to the back of my mind, and every time I do, something happens to make it come to the forefront again and again. And that big question is, could Rolex ever do a Frank Muller and crash and burn? That's all coming up right after this message from one of my trusted dealers. So, could the unthinkable ever happen? Could Rolex ever experience a complete flop in the market where everyone was taking the Rolex watches off their wrist, putting them in the drawer or selling them off and choosing to wear something else? Well, the obvious answer to that is no. That's what everyone would think, that's what everyone would say, and at least that's what I would hope, because I think, as many of you already know, much of my grandchildren's inheritance is tied up in the Rolex watch brand. But things have happened over the last 2, 3, 4 years that have been a strange set of circumstances, and I think that Rolex themselves have, in many ways, lost contact with and lost sight of just who they are and who their customers are, more importantly. And when I say their customers, I'm not talking about the rich wannabe crypto boys, that Johnny-come-latelys, the part-time flipper backpack dealers that have come onto the scene over the last few years and elevated even the Rolex brand to a level that never ever thought we'd experience. I think what we find now in 2023 is that we're back where we was around 2014, 2015, with just the real genuine Rolex enthusiasts in the market, and the ones that have been willing to put their money into the brand because they love it, not because they feel that it's going to make them a load of money down the line. And over the last few years, of course, we have experienced a complete turnaround and a change in Rolex customer care, customer service, and the way that the brand has been sold. I said in a video made probably 4 years ago now that it was my belief that Rolex were going down the route of wanting Pierre the pilot as their customer rather than Peter the self-employed aspiring plumber. And so I think it was proved to be correct. And I think it's got to the stage now where Rolex themselves need to be a little bit careful, because frankly they've pissed off so many of their loyal fan base over the last few years. And I should know, because I'm on the receiving end of dozens and dozens of emails every month that tell me just that a lot of loyal Rolex fanboys, for whatever you want to call them, supporters of the brand, are sick to death of the attitude, the snobbery and the entitlement of the Geneva Giants. And I've got to admit, I have to agree, and I find that very, very sad indeed. But listen, who am I to tell Rolex what to do? I've always said that they have the best marketing brain, the best marketing department in the entire watch world. But this time, maybe just this time, they've got it wrong. After all, they've just built a brand new factory to increase output that everyone wanted. But during that time, prices have dropped, and all the wannabes, all the Johnny-come-latelys, all the backpack flippers, all the crypto boys have suddenly disappeared and are going to be spending their money somewhere else. So with an increased output and a reduced desirability, a reduced demand, that's not a recipe that Rolex can, it's not a circle that Rolex can square when they're telling people that go into their shop, no, you can't have one of our watches, no, you can't spend your money in our store, no, we're not interested in you, no, go and put your name down on some imaginary waiting list where you live. We're not interested. And I think to some degree, the game could be up for Rolex in that respect. And a lot of other brands as well. I mean, Audemars Piguet have got it wrong big time, I think, in many instances in recent years, in the last couple of 3 years. I think the company that's probably got the balance just about right, if I can say that, is probably potentially Patek Philippe. But a lot of the other brands, Rolex probably being the main culprit for me, in my humble opinion, I think they've got it wrong. And the day of the discounts are back. Gone are the days when all these other brands that surrounded us in the watch world, brands like Omega, Cartier, Breitling, etc., even brands like Bremont, you go into the store, can I have a discount? Oh no sir, we don't discount this brand. Well, I'm telling you now, you will be very soon if you're not already. So guys, the days of authorised dealer salespeople from brands right across the board telling you that no discounts were available, well, I think those days are over, and if they're not completely over yet, they're certainly numbered. And that can only be a good thing for you guys out there in the watch community. But Rolex don't seem to have got this just yet. And I think that question that kept popping up in my mind probably came to the fore when we was in Geneva, and Spencer and I went into an authorised Rolex dealership in Geneva Airport and were actually laughed at. You've seen the video. They laughed in our face because Spencer inquired about buying a lady's Rolex Datejust. What sort of goddamn customer service, customer care is that? Rolex, open your eyes, have a look around at what is happening and know what the average everyday Rolex enthusiast is saying about your brand. I get emails, I get messages, I get all sorts of people contacting me virtually every day of the goddamn week telling me they are sick of the snobbery, sick of being blanked, sick of being treated like fools, sick of being spoken down to, and are tired, absolutely sick and tired of being told they've got to get on some imaginary preferred client list when everyone in the world now knows. It's been revealed far too many times that these so-called preferred client lists in general mean or have meant preferred flipper list or anyone that's prepared to bung me lists. And I think it's done a lot of damage to the Rolex brand, and that really saddens me because I've been into the Rolex brand ever since I was about 14 years of age. I've been a lifelong enthusiast and supporter of the brand. I'm often accused on this channel of being nothing but a Rolex fanboy that just talks about Rolex all the time. Well, they always have been the most important watch brand to me. But even I am sick and tired of them, to be honest with you. Even I, now personally, in my own wearable collection, I'm down to one Rolex, just one. That's unheard of for me. And the reason I'm down to just one is because I'm tired of them. I'm tired of the snobbery, I'm tired of the bullshit. And I think a lot of other people are feeling that way too. So the question is, could Rolex ever do a Frank Muller and completely bomb overnight, where everyone just says, I don't want nothing to do with this brand anymore, we're done with them? It happened to Burberry a long time ago, and they've still really not recovered, in my belief, to what they once was in the eyes of the general public, the perception of the general public. I used to be a big fan of Burberry until the football lads started wearing it, and it kind of put me off. And I've only just really started wearing Burberry again after all these years. 20 years ago maybe that I gave up wearing Burberry because of the implications, not the implications, but the personality, if you like, being associated with that brand. Thankfully they appear to have got over that. But could that happen to Rolex? Is it possible? And if it did, what a shame that would be, when all the warning signs have been there for them, in my opinion, not least from me on this channel that does genuinely care about the brand. All the warning signs have been there for a very long time. And it could take something as little as a very big YouTuber, and I don't consider myself to be a very big watch YouTuber, I'm just an average sized channel. But if one of the really big boys, or even worse, 2 or 3 of the really big boys with 1 million viewers plus, suddenly decided that Rolex was the brand that you're now taking off your wrist, there could be a problem. I just hope that that never happens. But I'm telling you now, if things don't change, don't be overly surprised if it did. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you have to say on this subject. Do you think I'm miles out? Do you think I'm potentially right? Do you think I'm very right? I'd love to know what you guys think. But lastly, for anyone that thinks that I'm just digging Rolex out and they're authorised dealers for the sake of it, I can only reiterate, the vast majority of my children and grandchildren's inheritance is tied up in this brand. I want the value of Rolex watches not only to be sustained, but ultimately to rise. The better the standing Rolex watches are in the watch world, the bigger inheritance I have to leave my loved ones. So it matters to me just as much, if not more, than most people. Right guys, that's it for now. As always, thanks for watching. I'll speak to you again soon.